Okay, so I got a question about my interest in movement, specifically about yoga. And so I wanted to respond to that um, in a video because I think a lot of people might, also have the same question, or I've gotten other questions that are kind of similar. And so anyway, blah, blah, blah. So here it is. So my experience with yoga is kind of fucked up a little bit because I tried it years ago and was not comfortable in yoga classes that I tried to go to for a variety of reasons. One reason is that I didn't look like anyone else in the room. I didn't see my body reflected in anyone else's body in the room. And it's hard to be the only person that looks like you in the room, which, a lot of people are familiar with when they are someone who is an other, So when you're the only black person in the room, when you're the only fat person in the room, when you're the only disabled person in the room, there's all kinds of people who at various times feel like the other. And so for my experience in yoga, I felt like the other. And also, I have had the problem, and this is actually worse to me, is in classes the instructor wants me to feel comfortable, like desperately, you can tell, desperately wants me to feel comfortable, but then doesn't know how to work with my fat body. And so instead of saying, oh, maybe here's a modification that you could try, like here's a pose that you can't quite get into because of your belly or your thighs or whatever, maybe try this modification. They don't know what modification to tell me, and so they either would say, just sit in child's pose, which is also not super comfortable when you're fat, but they wouldn't know that because they're not fat, or they would put so much attention on me throughout the whole class, just like really like in an effort to make me feel comfortable, they would like spotlight, but then it's like too much, and then it's like, why are you singling me out, and this is uncomfortable. But they, they're doing it out of good intentions, but it's awful, actually. And so that happened, and I just stopped trying to go to class because it was never good, and why would you keep doing things that were never good, like who would do that? So I actually just got DVDs and would do it at home, but I wasn't really into it, and so I didn't do it for a long time, for a few years, and I would talk about yoga and be like, yoga's awful, yoga's for thin white people, yoga is, some bullshit, blah, 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 and, whatever, just saying things, and because my experience had been so bad. And then I found these DVDs, or this DVD, by a yoga instructor named Abby Lenz, and she created Heavyweight Yoga, and Heavyweight Yoga is amazing because it's for fat people. And there are other people doing it. There's also a DVD, or there's multiple DVDs by Megan Garcia. So the two DVDs that I found in the beginning were Heavyweight Yoga by Abby Lenz and Mega Yoga by Megan Garcia. And so I did those two, and it was like, oh wow, yoga with instructors who know what to tell a fat person to do, like pick your belly up and move it out of the way, or try this modification, or use these blocks, to get in proper alignment so that you can do this pose. And that was really kind of life-changing for me. And so I did it. I did yoga a little bit, but it's like by myself in my house, and it's just, I have zero discipline for anything. And so I didn't keep up with it. And then also I hadn't, had like a eureka moment. It was just like, oh, this is nice. I'm going to move this back. And so I did a little bit of yoga, and then not a big deal. And then what happened is Abby came out with a new DVD, and I bought it, and I really liked it. For some reason, like, I liked it even more, and so I started doing it. And then, whatever, didn't really do it so much. And so then the moment for me came when I was really, and this is recently, this is like a few months ago, when, I don't know, August, I was really not doing well. Exciting things were happening in my life. Some positive, crazy things were happening, some negative, crazy things were happening, and I was just kind of spiraling. I was depressed. I had a lot of anxiety that was happening. I was just, a lot was going on. And my eating disorder was out of control. and I was binging multiple times a week. I was feeling gross. I just felt like, ugh, disgusting. I was gaining weight, and my stomach was hurting all the time, and it was just awful. Like, I was awful. I was in a terrible place. And I remember I posted on Instagram one night. I was sitting on the couch next to my husband, and I was miserable. I was so full because I had binged earlier in the day, and then I didn't tell him because I was embarrassed that I did it, and so I ate dinner on top of that. And I was miserable because I was so full. And I posted to Instagram, and I don't remember what it said, but it was basically like, I am fucked. I feel terrible, and I hate, I've just been like, I hate what I'm doing to my body. I don't feel good. Something has to change. And it was really cathartic just posting that, and also like fucking heartwarming. I was like crying because all these people were like, I'm thinking of you, I'm sending you positive vibes, like, you're inspirational and blah blah blah, which was really hard to hear because I definitely most of the time in my life do not feel like an inspirational person. I feel like I don't know, whatever, depending on when you talk to me, I feel like different things, but then I definitely felt like kind of a joke, because I was doing so poorly in my life. But all these people said these wonderful things, and it really inspired me. Like, the love that I felt, I'm gonna cry, the love that I felt from people who were posting really inspired me to make a change and do something to feel better. And I know things to do to feel better because this is like, kind of my job now. And so the next day, I got out the mat and I did some yoga, and I didn't, turn into a Cirque du Soleil performer, but I went to the mat and I centered and I focused on my body and I connected with myself in a way that I hadn't in a long time. And I really paid attention to what's hurting in my body, what feels good in my body. Not very many things felt good. There was a lot of pain, there was a lot of soreness, there was a lot of tension. And then so I did yoga, and then the next day I did a little bit of yoga, and the next day I did a little bit of yoga, and I had decided that I was going to do it for 7 days in a row and see how I felt. And I did 7 days, and it was amazing. And I posted about it on Instagram, and I just said, my 7-day challenge, my personal 7-day challenge. And it was, people were so loving again, and they were like, oh, that's wonderful, good for you. And that was really heartening for me. So, and I had signed up for a yoga retreat with Abby Lenz, which was very exciting. And it was in like 2 more weeks or something. I don't know. Anyway, and so the point is, I did yoga every day until the retreat, and I don't know, it changed my life. Those few weeks of doing just a little bit of yoga, I mean, it was like an hour or less of yoga a day. It wasn't crazy, and it wasn't like the super strenuous, crazy yoga that all the people are posting about online, which is very cool and good for them, but it definitely was not that. It was really like a small, emotional, relaxing, stress relieving yoga practice. And what's cool is that from the beginning to before I left for the retreat, I really saw a lot of difference in how my body felt, and what I was able to do, and the range of motion that I had, and the flexibility that I had gained in such a short amount of time. And then I did the yoga retreat, and holy shit, that changed my life for real. I know I sound like an Abby Lenz fangirl, and that's because I am. She is amazing. As a person, she's hilarious, and very real. Like, she doesn't have like a fake spirituality going on. She says motherfucker in the middle of teaching class, which is, I mean, if you're me, that's amazing. Some people maybe not so much, but the retreat was great. It was exactly what I needed. It was a weekend of yoga with people whose bodies looked like mine, which is so hard to find. Like, I can't walk into a class in Houston and get that. And it was, if you don't know what it's like to be different than other people, you can't understand what it's like to be, I'm like crying, what it's like to be in a room with people that look like you doing something that most people would say is not for you to do. that weekend was empowering and inspiring and amazing, and I can't tell you how much Abby Lentz and heavyweight yoga changed my life. And since then, I've just been, creating a regular home practice with yoga and really pushing myself to try things that I never would have tried before because it was stuff that, fat people shouldn't be doing. And that, I will say, is an inspiration I got from all the gals on Instagram doing the Fat Girl Yoga and those challenges, which they're doing a lot of really advanced moves that I'm afraid some people might hurt themselves doing. But I think ultimately it's really good that they're doing it because, I think it pushes people to try things that maybe they felt like, oh, I'm not supposed to be doing that. And it definitely has for me. So I have a few poses that I'm continuously working on, and one day I'll maybe, get into a more full expression of. But right now I'm happy just to keep working on them and see my flexibility and my strength improve. But most of all with yoga, and this is where I would tell, people who are interested in trying it or maybe scared to try it, the greatest thing about yoga is that your yoga practice will meet you where you are. You start where you are, and there's no reason to push yourself beyond what you're capable of if you allow yourself to really, ignore kind of outside influences that might tell you to, oh, you should be standing on your head by now. Like, if you never stand on your head, that's fine. Like, who cares? This is also turning into a long video. But if you want to try yoga, try yoga. If you want to know whose DVDs to try, fucking anything by Abby Lentz is amazing. She has a YouTube channel with not very much on it, but she wants to add more, so that's cool. Mega Yoga DVD with Megan Garcia is good. Actually, Mega Yoga is great if you can't come to the floor, because throughout that DVD there's somebody demonstrating all the asanas from a chair, which is very cool. And there are a lot of books. They're in the other room, so I'm not going to get them, but I will maybe do a video about all the yoga books and DVDs another time. But listen, every body is a yoga body, and whatever body you have today is your yoga body. And don't be scared to try things. You don't have to already be flexible to try yoga. You don't have to be thin to try yoga. You don't have to be young to try yoga. You just have to be you, and wherever you are, yoga is for the body that you have today. So as flexible as you are today and as strong as you are today, you can modify things to suit your needs. And I don't know, man, I can't tell you how yoga has changed my life. I mean, I tried to in this video, but I can't even express to you the difference that it's made for me. And throughout the years, when I would do it, it was good. Even when I didn't have the breakthrough, it was really good for me to do. It's just that recently I had this huge breakthrough. And I think that personal challenge that I did, coupled with the retreat, was just like a magical combination. Anyway, do it. And if you have specific questions about yoga, let me know. I'm not an expert, but I can tell you what I know. There's a lot of amazing people doing yoga on Instagram that you can follow. And maybe I'll put some names in the comment thing. Anyway, so send me your questions if you have them about yoga, about anything that you want me to ramble on about for like 20 minutes. So I hope you guys have a great day. Send you all my good vibes. Bye.